Well, now to Russia, where Donald Trump's embrace of various Russian talking points is making waves in Moscow's media. Once denounced as the enemy of Russia, America is now being celebrated. High-profile media commentators are highlighting what they call Donald Trump's common-sense approach and believe Europe is now isolated over Ukraine.
Same studio, same guests, same content. The war in Ukraine, which is presented here as the West's war against Russia. What's new is the friendly attitude towards America. Over the last 3 years, Moscow repeatedly attacked Washington, and sharply. Now, the Kremlin is suddenly full of praise for US President Trump's new Russia policy.
We understand perfectly well that the pragmatic approach that they are now showing in their relations with our country, an attempt to restore diplomatic relations, should be welcomed.
Russia's best-known propagandist Vladimir Solovyov is also friendly towards the USA. Previously one of the harshest critics of America, he is suddenly emphasizing the similarities with the US president.
Trump represents the world of realities, the world of feelings, which is based on simple traditional values. We have always been on the side of realities.
The sudden 180-degree turn is no surprise for Russian opposition politician Yulia Galyamina. Speaking on DW, the former MP from Moscow explained,
"This ideology is very flexible, but there is actually no ideology at all in Russia's state propaganda at the moment. There are just short-term cliches that are used ad hoc, on occasion. One thing is used now, another tomorrow, depending on which way the wind blows."
But not everyone likes this today this way, tomorrow that way. This video spread quickly on social media. It shows a man in front of the building of the Russian media group Россия Сегодня, accusing the chief propagandist Solovyov of lying and threatening to shoot him himself on the front line. The so-called military bloggers, the patriotic supporters of the war, are also angry about the political shift. On one Telegram channel, some of them are particularly outraged by President Putin's suggestion that Americans could do business with rare earths from Russia. We missed the moment when the evil ambition of the damned Yankees to steal Russian natural resources became the prospect of mutual cooperation with American partners. And the wives of mobilized men are even more outspoken on their Telegram channel. Now it's clear what we were fighting for, so Putin could sell Russia to America. Political analyst Ivan Filipov speaks of a genuine shock among Russian hardliners and of consequences.
This will, of course, lead to anger, to misunderstanding, to protest. But this protest will only be in kitchens and private conversations.
Public protest is therefore unlikely. While the USA is the new friend for Russia's state media, Europe remains the enemy. The upcoming summit between Trump and Putin is also being celebrated by the guests on this show as a victory over Europe.
We will definitely reach a deal with Trump. I assure you all of this will change, and we will be friends with America. And the others will not be at the negotiating table, but under the negotiating table.
The new Russian-American friendship looks likely to face some major stress tests in the near future.
Well, let's explore this new reality with our Russia correspondent, Sergei Satanovsky. Sergei joins us from Riga, since DW is banned from reporting in Moscow. Welcome, Sergei. Tell us more, then, about this blooming friendship between Presidents Putin and Trump.
Yeah, well, this friendship started during or even before Trump's first term in 2016. Russian politicians and propagandists had high expectations from him at that time. But when Trump started supplying weapons to Ukraine and imposing sanctions on Russia, it was like a cold shower for Russia. And that's why, before Trump was sworn in again this time, last January, Russian politicians and propagandists were very cautious and didn't voice their expectations. And only after Trump's first statements on Ukraine, Vladimir Putin said that they were on the same page, and basically he openly praised him. At least until yesterday, it seemed like Donald Trump totally agreed with him, but now it looks like at the same time Trump wants to show that his voters, at least, that Putin can't win him over with just flattery. And we can listen to what the US president said about Vladimir Putin yesterday during a cabinet meeting.
He's a very smart guy. He's a very cunning person, but I've dealt with some people I've dealt with some really bad people. But I will tell you, as far as this is concerned, you have to understand, he had no intention, in my opinion, of settling this war. I think he wanted the whole thing. When I got elected, we spoke, and I think we're going to have a deal. I can't guarantee that. You know, a deal is a deal. Lots of crazy things happen in deals, right?
So I guess what we see here, these words, we can see as Trump's reaction to the fact that many say Donald Trump is under Russia's complete influence.
And so how have Russian propaganda narratives about the US changed?
Well, as we have seen in the report, it has made a U-turn. Before Trump was sworn in January, the US was portrayed as Russia's main adversary, who was even planning to destroy Russia. And the US was even seen as the only power in NATO. Propagandists explained that there was no need to engage with the EU because it would do whatever the US would tell it to. And now it's a different story. Trump is Russia's friend who understands Putin like nobody else, and the European Union is considered a warmonger that is trying to undermine the improving relations between the United States and Russia.
And how is this affecting the attitude of Russians towards the war?
I would say not much so far. The latest polls show that Russians are almost evenly split on the war in Ukraine. So around 45% support, as they call it, the military operation. Another 45% say that they favor peace talks. But we should also understand that even among those who support peace talks, many of them don't support returning territories to Ukraine. And the number of those who support the war in Ukraine has, we can say, insignificantly grown, or maybe it stays the same. And this could be explained by the way how Russian propaganda presents this war, which is it only reports on the advancements of the Russian army, but doesn't say anything about the cost of this war, which is 100,000 people dead, as confirmed by independent journalists. And of course, another reason for such results might be that in Russia you can't just speak out openly against the war, because you can end up in prison and spend the maximum of 10 years behind bars.
Thank you, Sergei. Sergei Satanovsky in Riga.